You ever wake up and just know your day's about to go sideways? That was me, one Tuesday morning, 7 a.m., coffee in hand, looking out the window and thinking the rumble outside was just garbage trucks making their rounds. Instead, I catch sight of two monster tow trucks crawling up my driveway like they're on some secret mission. Not exactly the kind of wake-up call you hope for in Pelican Bay, but hey, I guess every neighborhood's got its drama, right? Thing is, nobody told me I'd be the main character. So I step outside, not even out of my Coast Guard sweatshirt, trying to process what the hell's going on. Three guys are already circling my patrol vessel like they're auditioning for a reality show called Repo Wars. I'm keeping it together, barely, but I ask, "Morning, gentlemen, mind telling me why you're on my property?" Lead guy doesn't even look up, just grunts something about a work order from the HOA, claiming my boat's been abandoned for over a month and they're here to make it disappear. You know that feeling when you want to laugh and curse at the same time? That was me. Because sitting under that custom marine cover was a 28-foot Coast Guard response boat, the kind you don't exactly pick up at Walmart, and definitely not something I'd let rot in my driveway. It had been there 12 days, and for anyone who cares, it was officially federal property, assigned to me for inspection and routine maintenance. I tell the guy as much, even show him my paperwork, but he just shrugs and says, "HOA president says it goes, it goes. Take it up with her." Now, at this point, I'm done being nice. I start recording, call the number we're only supposed to use in emergencies, and you can bet I felt a little satisfaction when, minutes later, 3 black SUVs with government plates fly around the corner and pull up. Suddenly, the tough tow guys are looking like kids caught with their hands in the cookie jar. Let me back up a sec. My name's Jake Sullivan, 15 years Coast Guard. 6 months ago, I moved into Pelican Bay because it seemed peaceful, close to the water, good neighbors, you get the picture. Only thing is, I didn't know about Karen Bellwether. Yeah, she's exactly what you'd imagine. A new HOA president with a taste for power and a bob haircut that probably cost more than my first car. She's made it her personal mission to manage everything in a 5-block radius, and trust me, nobody's too small for her radar. First day the patrol boat's in my driveway, I get a laminated Comic Sans violation stuck to my door. Karen doesn't mess around with formalities. She's citing everything from watercraft bylaws to airspace regulations I'm pretty sure she just made up. I reply with all my federal paperwork, super polite, explain this isn't some weekend fishing boat. It's Coast Guard equipment, and that I have full legal authorization. She fires back a certified letter the next day, telling me her HOA rules override whatever so-called government nonsense I think I'm waving around. I invite her over, try to be civil, even walk her around the vessel. Show her the official insignia, registration, my maintenance orders, you name it. But she's not there to listen, she's there to gather evidence, as if she's building a case for law and order. HOA Victims Unit. She's got backup to 2 other board members, equally smug, and she announces right there that I've got 7 days to get rid of my commercial eyesore, or it's $50 a day in fines. Now, you'd think that'd be the peak of HOA overreach. But Karen's got creativity. 7 days go by, and the fines start rolling in $50 a day. Then it's noise violations, even though the boat's silent as a grave. Then my driveway's too crowded. Then the boat's tarp isn't regulation color, and apparently, I'm now responsible for violating community airspace. She sends notices to every house, blows up Facebook with photos of my abandoned vessel, and tries to whip the whole neighborhood into a frenzy about declining property values. What she didn't count on was the neighbors actually liking the boat. The Johnsons brought their grandkids over to see it. Mr. Peterson saluted it every morning, real sense of community. Some folks even offered to go to bat for me at the HOA meeting. But Karen? She stacked the board with her friends and runs the agenda like a petty dictator. When it came time for the big showdown, I show up with a folder of docs and, just for good measure, the Coast Guard's Legal Affairs Officer, Lieutenant Commander Patricia Wells. Patricia's got that no-nonsense aura, and when she lays out the law during public comment, you could feel the room shift. "Ladies and gentlemen," she says, "this is not a matter of HOA preference. Petty Officer Sullivan is performing authorized Coast Guard duties. Interfering with his work or the vessel itself is a federal offense." Karen turns beet red and stammers something about community standards, but Patricia shuts her down with a single line. "Ma'am, your rules do not and cannot override federal law. You'd think that'd be the end of it. Yeah, that happened. Instead, Karen doubles down, pushes through a resolution authorizing removal by any means necessary. The vote passes, and 4 days later, I come home to an empty driveway. My boat's gone. Only the wheel chocks left behind, security cameras spray painted over, but my neighbor's cam caught everything. Karen herself, 6 a.m., clipboard in hand, directing the tow truck drivers, snapping selfies like she just won an Oscar. At that point, it's not local cops I call, it's the Coast Guard Investigative Service. Turns out, stealing a government vessel is a big deal, especially when it's loaded with classified navigation and comms equipment. Within an hour, the base commander's calling me for details. 2 hours later, federal agents are fanning out. They track the boat to a tow yard 15 miles away, dumped in the back lot with a note to bill the HOA. The yard owner takes one look at the badges and hands over all the paperwork, including the work order, signed by Karen, paid with the HOA credit card. Meanwhile, another team heads to the HOA office. They find Karen at her desk, flanked by photos of her victory. She barely gets out her name before agents read her rights for theft of government property, interfering with military operations, and misuse of HOA funds. She tries to play it off. I was just enforcing community rules, but the agents have everything. My federal docs, the HOA warnings, footage of her personally directing the removal. They tell her, flat out, to call a lawyer. The aftermath? Wild. Federal investigators go through HOA records, find out Karen spent nearly $8,000 of community money on her personal vendetta, wrote fines without board votes, pocketed cash, threatened residents. But the kicker, they damaged the boat's encrypted equipment. Now it's not just theft, it's destruction of classified property and a possible security breach. Within 48 hours, the board calls an emergency meeting, without Karen, who's now trying to make bail. They vote to drop all fines, issue a public apology, and basically beg the Coast Guard for forgiveness. Board members resign left and right, admitting they were bullied or just scared of Karen. On Facebook, neighbors start sharing stories of her bullying, her threats, the whole 9 yards. Meanwhile, I'm cataloging the damage, each scratch, every broken seal, a $40,000 repair bill, not including the cost of new classified equipment. Karen's day in court is a spectacle. She tries to argue HOA supremacy to a federal judge who, fun fact, used to be a Navy officer. He's having none of it. She pleads out, gets 18 months in federal prison, $30,000 in restitution, 5 years probation, and a lifetime ban from any HOA board. And the judge's last words still rings in my ears. Ma'am, there's a hierarchy of law in this country, and your HOA isn't at the top of it. You know what's funny? The community's quieter now, friendlier, like everyone took a deep breath. But every once in a while, someone will stop me and ask if I'd do it all again, fight back, take on the HOA, stand my ground. And honestly, I don't know. I just did what I had to do. But here's the question nobody can answer. In a country built on rules and freedom, where's the line between keeping order and losing your mind over control? When does community pride turn into a power trip? Drop a comment. Tell me, did justice win here? Or did we just trade one bully for another? Where would you draw the line if you were in my shoes? Because out here, in real life, the rules only matter if we all agree on what's fair.